All right, so welcome everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I am an author, speaker, and creative flow expert. I am committed to creating a better world through mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being. And we are jumping on today for my Visionaries in Transition Facebook Live series, where I interview the amazing and inspiring impact makers in my network to discuss the transitions that have shaped our lives and businesses, because there are so many of them nowadays. We are all in the midst of transition right now. So if you're joining us, please like, comment, share below, subscribe if you're joining us on YouTube, and just let us know that you're here. So today I'm talking to Pradnya Leitner, is that how you pronounce it? Right. And I met her originally through the FBomb Breakfast Club, which is one of our favorite networking groups that we're both a part of. So glad to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah.
Doing great work, interviewing people, asking them to share their story in hopes that it will inspire somebody else who's wanting to walk on that path. Because you and I are no different, Claire. When you and I were in their shoe, somebody else's story inspired us, and it gave us the courage to bet on ourselves and walk on that path. So I think the work that you're doing is really meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I really started the series because I was having all of these amazing conversations in Zoom networking calls. And I was like, why is this a private conversation? We need to make this a public conversation because so many people would resonate with what we're talking about.
Yeah, 200% agree with you.
Yeah. So let's start off. Tell me your backstory. How did you get to where you are today?
Interesting. For me, Claire, I started in the corporate world. I started my vocational journey with IBM Corporation, and then I transitioned over to Salesforce. I was in the corporate world for about close to 10 years, so a decade. And I went through very many roles, first and foremost, corporate sales enablement and execution, and then finally global marketing leadership. And I would say in a sentence, Claire, I am incredibly indebted to the corporate world and how they sculpted me, how they shaped me. But I think there came a point in my corporate journey where I started realizing that there's a difference between achievement and fulfillment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And what happens is that we, many a times, and I won't generalize it because a few people might know their purpose and their passion, but quite a few of us, if you don't know your purpose and passion, you start down one path. And if you stay aware enough, your heart is there to guide you. And so the reason I said I discovered that there's a difference between achievement and fulfillment is because I really was doing well. I was giving my all. I was growing left and right, day in and day out. Every year and a half when I started in the corporate path, there was a promotion and increased responsibility and increased salary. So all of that looked great on paper. And so from an outsider's perspective, they would think, Pradnya, what's going on? Can you learn to be grateful? And that is when I again realized that I was immensely grateful, Claire, until the date I am, because it's our life experiences that we go through give us the awareness to discover our purpose. Yeah. And so I am grateful for it, but there was this constant realization, awareness that I'm not on my path. And for that, Claire, I believe that fulfillment comes from being in an active pursuit of what it is that speaks to your heart, that resonates with the essence of you. And so when I realized it, I said, let me go to Salesforce, maybe Salesforce being the numero uno in the information technology industry. They might throw more challenges at me and hopefully get me out of my funk. Because remember, I had realization, but not a deep understanding of how my calling was calling me.
Mm.
So I was still in that journey trying to figure out my path, where's my place, what's full of meaning and substance and purpose to me. And so I came to Salesforce, and that is when, Claire, it clicked in my mind, or in my head, that changing companies, going from IBM Corporation to Salesforce, is not solving the problem.
Mm.
It's a stopgap solution. And don't get me wrong, Salesforce is a phenomenal company, Claire. There's a reason why they're considered numero uno in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing people. I mean, great colleagues, great processes, great enablement. But as and when when I changed the company and when I realized that this is a stopgap solution, that is when I believe that I started having deep introspection.
Mm.
Reflection. And one thing led to another, right? When the student is ready, the mentor appears, right?
Totally.
And so for me, I started working on myself. I sought mentors. I started working with a coach. And when I started working with my mentors is when I realized that I know very little about myself.
Mm. Yeah.
And here's a caveat, okay? Now, I told you about my vocational journey, Claire, but my educational background is in biomedical engineering. And I was a pre-medical student back then. So I had studied behavioral psychology, human physiology, neuroscience, right? Now put yourself in my shoe. So all of that background. And then in the corporate world, I had gone through sales training, executive training, leadership training. But how come, Claire, that I still did not fully comprehend that my mind is not my brain?
Mm.
That my results in life are an absolute reflection of what's going on within me, in my
Mm.
thoughts, in my feelings, in my beliefs, and in my execution. I never really fully grasped the relationship of one's mind or our mind to our behavior, to our results. And what happens, Claire, when you do not understand yourself, um, in an in-depth way, then you can have a few great successes in life, but then you're still hoping that as I go to my next destination, I hope I succeed. There's no hoping. There's a creative process to it, which we initiate with, identifying our aim in life, our goal, and then we become that person from within with our thinking, with our emotions, with our beliefs, with our attitude, with our self-image, because self-image controls our results in life to the nth degree.
Totally.
To wrap up my story, when I started waking up to all of this, I realized that, oh my goodness, what would it be like to share this information with others and to help them become the best version of themselves? And I'm not providing a lip service, because you and I both know that there's infinite potential locked up inside of us. But just knowing that doesn't bring it to the surface.
Totally.
That is why you're in business. You're in this vocation. We have to do the inner work to bring it to the surface so our execution can match the actions that the person who accomplishes our goals would take. That is what we call the inspired action. And so with all of this, I worked on myself, and I said when I was in the corporate world that I am my very first client. So maybe if you paraphrased it, I called myself the guinea pig.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all are. Our internal work is our external work at the end of the day. Like, it's one and the same.
You nailed it. You nailed it. And so I worked on myself, and lo and behold, my intelligence didn't get, quadrupled, or my skill sets didn't get doubled, but my results spoke for themselves.
Yeah.
I landed up really doing extremely well. I was doing very well in the corporate world, but extremely well that year during, that fiscal year at Salesforce, where Salesforce flew my whole family, my 2 kids and my husband, to, Hawaii for celebration, and all of that. So the professional success was there, right? And then the personal success, my hubby always, has my back, but he was just asking, Pradnya, what you're about to do, is this really a vocation? Because I mean, not many people know about it. And out there in Hawaii, he tells me, Pradnya, this is a pulsating desire in your heart, and I'm right here to support you. Let's go.
I mean, how powerful is that? That's a pulsating desire in your heart. I mean, that is palpable. I love it.
And so he supported me through all this endeavor. And after having produced the results that I produced, I knew that I had discovered my purpose. I told you we don't decide our purpose, we discover it based on our life experiences, based on our preferences, our likes, our dislikes. And if we are cognizant enough and introspective enough, the purpose does surface. And you know what? Here's what I'll share. When the purpose surfaces, we, like just out of sheer habit, at times discard it thinking, well, how am I going to do it?
Yeah, totally.
I both know how is none of our business. We need to know what we want and why we want it, and then have the willingness to do the inner work, the outer work and skill set and all of that. So we become that person to create those results. So in summary, that's what I did. And then I started being in this vocation come 2018. And it's just been an absolute privilege serving people from different walks of life, different levels of seniority. And I will not trade anything for what I'm able to do now. I would not.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love that. I mean, again, you're speaking my language when it comes to this internal work that we have to do for ourselves in order to see the external results that we want. Because I think of it as like whole being alignment. Like you started out your journey talking about all of this like mental logical stuff. Like I learned how to survive in corporate world. I learned all of these hard skill sets. I learned all of these scientific skill sets, but we need to underline that with the emotional journey. We need to underline that with the spiritual journey, the physical journey. We need to have a more holistic approach to our being instead of relying on this hard, cold facts logic that our Western society really does encourage at the end of the day. Like I was totally back there back in the day, and I actually had to find my route to this whole being approach through neuro leadership, actually, because I found the Neuro Leadership Institute and they were giving me hard scientific data to back up the importance of meditation practices, of social connections, of creative processes, creative output. And I was like, oh, I've been ignoring so much.
Yeah. You said some very important points there. Somehow when we go through our early childhood and even adolescent and early adulthood, we do gather a lot of information. And don't get me wrong, Claire, without information, without knowledge, you and I won't get the seat at the table. Because how can you contribute to anybody's life without you having some sort of a service that you can support them with, serve them with? Right? So the knowledge is an important part. But I think what you're alluding to is self-knowledge. And when we have the self-knowledge is when we get the utmost return on investment on the knowledge that we have gathered. Simply put, let's say an executive could be really good with his or her skill set. But when the mindset is down pat, when she knows or he knows how to guide his or her inner world, then they're really capitalizing on that knowledge, not hoping and wishing, but having a quiet inner knowing, and thereby, very down to earth kind of a confidence in co-creating their results with the universe that they live in, or that they're part of. So they're co-creating it in conjunction with the universal energies. And so that's that. And then the second thing that you said that, again, really resonates with my heart deeply, Claire, is that we're pretty much conditioned to live outside in. See, smell, hear, taste, touch.
Yes.
And we need it. I cannot cross the road by closing my eyes and chanting some mantra. I cannot. So the senses are there for a reason, for us to operate in a tangible, visible, physical world. But then you said it beautifully, that we exist on different planes. We're spiritual beings. We live in this physical body, and we are gifted with something called mind, And so the way you and I guide our mind, and the more skilled we get at guiding our mind, the more with ease that we will create on the physical plane. And mind, when you speak of that, it's on the invisible, intangible, non-touchable, non-physical plane.
Yeah.
And we never learned that. So
Yeah.
again, you're speaking my language.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just thought of a perfect metaphor as you were speaking too. It's like using colors. You know, if I were a blue person inside of me, but I think that I need to be a purple person in the world. The world outside of me expects me to be purple, but I'm actually blue. So I'm going to pretend to be purple. Purple is close enough to blue that I can probably achieve some success as a purple person in the outside world, but I'm not going to achieve true success until I'm my true blue self.
Claire, I think we're going to continue to complete each other's sentences here. Because what you're saying in my language, or just paraphrasing, success truly, and this is Earl Nightingale's definition, success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So ideal that is meaningful to you. And I was just thinking about this morning as well. We say life is finite, not necessarily short. If somebody is living up to be a centenarian, it's not a short life.
Yeah.
But life is finite.
Yeah.
When sun sets and this day is history, it's history.
Yeah.
And so if time and life are finite resources, then why not take the time to study ourselves, to understand how reality gets co-created to and through us, and then venture out, bet on ourselves, and have the willingness and the courage to sustain, to be resilient until we crack the code, because there is science to it and there is art to it. I know you would agree with it. You studied everything from Neuro Leadership Institute. I studied from various mentors. So many people can recite it verbatim, but for you and I both to change our lives and grow, it's a matter of application, internalization, and that is a process and an art. So even if you know the science, then are you going to give yourselves the time to get skilled at and ultimately head toward mastery, so then you can really make the best use of your life?
Yeah, I said it. I think you said it earlier when you were talking about ROI. Like, I think that that's such a good way to think of it, is like, I want the highest ROI on the years that I have. However many years that I have in this finite lifetime of mine, I want the highest ROI from those years. And so in order to get the highest return on investment, I have to put myself in that position to have the best optimal performance during that time frame.
And that performance is as much at the thought plane, emotional plane, belief plane, as it is on the physical plane. One cannot be done without the other. You know, it's the clapping. And what you said, that I want to make the most of my life, but that is where, let's say if somebody is a world-class player, I'm a fan of tennis, so let's say Federer, okay?
Sure.
Well, he has the skill set, but he has to develop it. He has the passion and the zeal for the game, but to be able to become a world-class and really be performing at that level, you have to develop yourself. And that is why I think you and I are unanimously agreeing, and many people listening to this will agree, that when you work on yourself and you become aware of how to guide your internal state, regardless of the outside circumstance. And when I say regardless, you and I are not living in a la la land or denying the outside reality and saying, hey, it doesn't happen. It is happening. But we are completely laser focused on what we want to create, even when we're responding to what we're observing in the physical reality. So for us to become skilled, I think there is no substitute, but, understanding yourselves, your mind, your self-image, and many other things that you're alluding to. So.
Yeah. I mean, the word self-awareness came to mind as you were speaking as well, because we have to, you're talking about this dichotomy of like keeping an eye on the future, but also keeping an eye on reality. And it's this process of being like, all right, what are the brutal facts of reality? What is the like hard, cold facts of what's going on at the moment? And how can I respond to that so that my future is still in alignment with my vision for the future? Because your present decisions, your present reactions, your present behaviors are going to determine future results. So go ahead.
Please complete.
I was going to say, I've read this in several books, but like the past decisions that you've made, the past behaviors that you made indicate your future situation. So we're just taking advantage of that self-awareness process and being like, all right, how am I reacting in this particular situation? And how can I react in a different way or a better way or a whatever way you want to use there to achieve the future goal that I'm still trying to achieve?
You nailed it. And you know what, Claire? The fact is, your mind and my mind cannot be in two, I mean, our mind cannot be in two places at the same time. So again, you nailed it. You said it beautifully. Even when we're observing the outside reality that we have created, right? We can be in denial.
Yeah.
But once we have observed it, the question that we can ask ourselves is that what I want? Do I want to perpetuate it? And if not, then I must take note of it, because then and then only can I course correct, calibrate, tweak, and do
Totally.
something differently. But if my now moment is creating my future, right, then I must create from within where I want to see myself heading toward in the future.
Totally.
And when we're doing that, we're not losing track of the present moment. We're not living in the future, but we're really capitalizing on the present moment. We're really making the best use of the present moment, where our memory or our conditioning is not hijacking us and feeding us the memories. Some might be good memories and we might have smile on our face, and some might be setbacks and failures and challenges, right? So this is, again, we all have heard it time and time again. Whatever attention goes, energy flows. And whatever you're giving energy to grows. Emerson said it. And so it's just that practice. But if I may add one very important point to what you said again, Claire, even when we're guiding our present moment and we become self aware, which is what you help your clients do, I help my clients do. I think you and I both agree here that that is the inception point of the self awareness journey. Then one has to understand the power of our subconscious mind and how it influences our habit life, our behavior, our emotional state, and ultimately how it creates our results. And when we wake up to that, then we take it upon ourselves that positive thinking is good, but it's not sufficient. After I start thinking positively, then I've got to become an astute student of this material and start understanding what changes do I need to make to my subconscious, you call it unconscious or pattern program, conditioning, so that I can release the handbrake and accelerate to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
And it's a practice, like it's a muscle that we have to practice over time, because it's just becoming very, very intentional with each behavior you make. And that takes a lot of focus. That takes a lot of energy, time, money sometimes. And so we just have to be consistently committed to developing that intention every minute of the day.
Claire, you're so right, but we can't expend a lot of attention and energy on just trying to course correct our behavior every day. So that is why we understand that our conscious mind is responsible for only 2 to 4% of our results, perceptions, and behaviors. And this is not me saying, neuroplasticity has proven it. 96 to 98% of the time, yours and mine and everybody's results, perceptions, and behaviors are controlled and dictated by the subconscious mind. So when we become really aware and astute and we start working on ourselves and we start embracing, picking, choosing habits and behaviors that our future self, who has accomplished our goals, would have, and we start acting on those, there's a technique and methodology to it, right? Method to this madness. Then it becomes subconscious, Once it becomes subconscious, it runs you on autopilot with great habits, great beliefs, and that's how people accelerate to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I want to eat up this conversation. Like, put it on a plate, let me eat it.
Me too. Let's have a lunch. It's afternoon anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, like, I want to finish up with like one quick tip that you have for people who are grappling with this journey, embarking, finishing this journey. Like, what's one quick tip that you would tell people to focus on?
It's one mega tip with just sub tips. I'll make it quick. You're way more powerful
Mm.
than you can ever comprehend.
Mm.
You are. It's a recognition of it that has to grow.
Yes.
So once you start working on yourself, you cannot help but start recognizing it. When you start recognizing it, you cannot help but move toward growing. And
Mm.
growing doesn't mean materialistic things, right? And it's great if you want to have materialistic things. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But if you want meaning, purpose, significance, contribution, impact, the desire in you is a proof that you're capable of doing it, even though you're not doing it at the moment. You're not able to do it at the moment.
Yeah.
As you work on yourselves, changing your subconscious conditioning, changing your habit life, guiding your mental state, and most importantly, we all know that the way we guide our mind dictates our results in life.
Mm.
Wouldn't it be prudent, Claire, to take interest in understanding what is the mind and how does it function, and what are the faculties that are available to me at hello that I can engage in
Mm.
to really embody or embrace accurate, disciplined thinking.
Mm.
So, my message to people would be love yourself, appreciate yourselves. And if there's a desire in you for more impact, more contribution, know that it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
Wallace Waddle said it beautifully. Desire is an unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without, to and through you.
Mm.
So honor it and then be willing to work on yourselves so you can materialize that desire. And in doing so, you're leading your children by action, by results, by demonstration, right?
Mm.
You're contributing to your community, you're self-actualizing, you're coming as rock in your chair when you're 90, you have that fulfilled perspective on life, knowing that I gave my all and it was an amazing ride.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, I'm going to wrap it up on that because you can't get any better, right?
I just want to
right.
thank you very, very much. And I just love the energy that you brought to this conversation, your depth and your heart, and your genuine interest in serving people by interviewing others. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And per usual, this is really powerful stuff that we're talking about here. And audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights and perspectives with us, because we love to know how transitions like these have impacted you in your lives, whether it's corporate to entrepreneurship or just the transition of becoming self-aware and self-embodied, which is what we've been talking about. So special thanks to Pradnya for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
So I'm always looking for more guests. So if you're interested in coming on the series and sharing your own perspectives, please reach out to me and I'll send you the sign up link. We're currently booking into February at this point. So 2023, here we come. In the meantime, please comment, like, subscribe, check out Linktree/Liminal Clarity for all of my links. And then Pradnya, where can people find you?
I can meet them where they're at. They can follow me on Instagram. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. But most importantly, I've created a community called Growth and Fulfillment Mindset. And it's nothing but a Facebook group. But I am committed to offering my unfiltered, comments and suggestions and thoughts in hopes of inspiring others to go after their greatness. So you're welcome to join me in my Growth and Fulfillment Mindset community, and Claire can share the link with you.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the comments on Facebook and in the description on YouTube. So check us out. In the meantime, please remember that your authentic self is extraordinary. It is wonderful, and you owe it to yourself to create the elevated life that you know you are capable of. Take care, everyone. Oops.